I want to show you how to fix a dropped stitch. So say you're working along in stockinette stitch and you turn your fabric around to start the next row and you see that you dropped a stitch on the previous row. You could always rip out and go back to that stitch, but what I tend to do is pick it up as I go along. So the first thing you'll want to do is you want to secure that. You don't want it to rip out further and go much deeper. So I would grab a locking stitch marker, or if you have a double pointed needle handy, or a cable needle, or another circular needle, just something to lock through that stitch and hold it so it doesn't rip down any further. So the first goal for me is to secure it. And you could take yarn and a wool needle and thread it. I just find that it's much easier if you have something that has some rigidity and is smaller and convenient. And I find these locking stitch markers or split ring stitch markers really handy for this. So first secure it. The second thing you're going to do is let's knit over to it. Okay. This is faster and a little more efficient than ripping that whole last row out. On this little sample, it wouldn't be much to rip back to it, but if you've just, if you have 200 stitches on the needle and you discover that you dropped it back on stitch 10, it would be a pain to rip out 190 stitches to fix one little one. So that's why I want to show you how to fix it on the go, so to speak. So I've knit over to where my drop stitch is. So now I want to see how many rows it dropped. It dropped just one, and I can tell that because I have just one horizontal bar here between the two needles on my stitches. If I had two horizontal bars, it would mean I dropped it ran down 2 rows. If there were 3, it would have dropped 3 rows below. At this point, I caught it where it's only dropped 1 row. I only have to fix 1 row. But if you have multiple bars or bands, stretches or floats like this of yarn, each one of those represents a row that you have to re-knit this one stitch in. Okay, so what I do next is I grab this handy little tool, which is called a fix-a-stitch, and they come in different sizes, and they come in packs that have, I think, 3 different sizes for, finer gauge, medium, and bulky. I picked a lace weight one here, but ordinarily I would have grabbed a worsted weight since that's what I'm working with, but it will suffice for this. So the first thing you want to do is get that stitch on your fix-a-stitch. So you can either take your split ring marker out, or if you're all nervous about losing the stitch further, insert the fix-a-stitch through that stitch first, and then remove whatever tool you use to hold the stitch. So now with your fix-a-stitch in place, you want to have the bar, since we're working in stockinette stitch and we're on a knit side of the fabric, you want to have that bar behind you. Okay, and then all you're going to do is take your fix-a-stitch, and the fix-a-stitch has actually sort of a little crochet hook on both ends, so pick one of them, grab the bar that's behind the stitch and pull it through. Now you're going to put that stitch on your left-hand needle, and now you are done and you're ready to knit.